across the fence, UVM students are getting real-world experience in a research project that takes them from the campus to the farm. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Over the past 25 years, there's been a significant rise in the number of college students involved in research. Surveys now show that 50% of college students studying social and natural sciences are engaged in some kind of undergraduate research. At the University of Vermont, hundreds of students gain research experience each semester, and there are more than 100 professors who serve as the students' mentors. Today, we're going to get a look at a research project involving 2 UVM undergraduates and their teaching mentor. In just a few minutes, we'll meet one of the students, but to begin, I'm joined by the teacher, Dr. Julie Smith. Julie is a veterinarian and dairy specialist with UVM Extension. Thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be here.
Let's start with sort of an overview of the research that involves 2 of your students.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, a lot of students get involved with undergraduate research, especially in our department, animal science at the university. And we have lots of different types of projects. The students who work with me tend to do more applied projects than with many of my colleagues. Mine are applied field research projects, maybe to do with calf health or calf management or biosecurity. Some projects have even resulted in developing extension materials, which is another different experience that students can have. But really, when undergraduates get involved in research, it's a win-win for both the student and the faculty member. For myself, as a faculty member, I really enjoy telling students about my research, watching them get excited, trying to tailor a project to the students' interests if they express interest in working with me. And once they get going, for the student, it's a great opportunity, not just as a resume builder. They have the opportunity, if they're just curious about what research is, they can start working in the lab, assist with some methods, assist with some field work. For other students who really know that they have an interest in research, or those students who had started with, well, I just want to know, and now they know that they're really excited about research, then we give them a little more independence. They can take on a project themselves, whether they're working on that project for credit or honors credit or for recognition as distinguished undergraduate research. I'm actually on the committee that's reviewing proposals for distinguished undergraduate research, and it's incredible the types of projects that the students get involved with and what they come up with in terms of data and get their names on manuscripts. You know, it's really impressive. So I've had students, as I said, working on a number of different projects, and we've got 2 very different projects to talk about today.
So where do the students do the work?
Well, they can work all over with our projects that you're going to hear about today. I've got one student who's conducting a statewide survey of farmers, so she has a variety of methods of contacting the farmers. The other project is, over time, we're going to involve more farms. Right now we've got 1 farm enrolled, and that's the farm where we got together, everyone got together, and both projects have been involved with this farm. It just so happened, conveniently, that the first farm to enroll is right in Richmond, so not far from campus. It was easy for us to get there and bring the videographers out, so we'll get to see some of what we did there.
Yeah, well, let's take a moment to hear from the farmer in Richmond who offered her facility and her calves for the research project.
My husband and I bought this farm from my parents about 6 years ago. We've been farming before that. And we milk about 120 to 130 cows. And the rest is filled with heifers and dry cows. So almost 290 animals total. And we do most of it by ourselves. Very busy, but sometimes doable. We milk the cows twice a day, and the high groups can milk 3 times a day, and they're doing very well on that.
And the ears.
Well, I just met Julie at a veterinary meeting, and she was talking if I was willing to have my farm participate in a study for calf respiratory diseases. We raise all our own calves, as you can see. We raise them in a bottle for about a week after they're born. And then we put them on this automatic calf feeder, and they drink by themselves 3-4 times a day for 6 weeks or so, and they're gradually weaned and they move on. But as they're together like this, there are some respiratory viruses and bacteria floating around, and so several will get sick, and they get fevers and they get dopey, and you can tell because they don't drink as well. And then we need to treat them with antibiotics. And of course, the difficulty with that is that it's effective, but it's expensive. And sometimes it's not as effective, and you can get some residual lung damage, and the cows won't grow as well when they become heifers. So that's what you want to prevent. So most of these do just fine. There's some good-sized calves in here. but it's just like kids. It's never nice to have them sick. So yeah, we're going to measure their growth, and we're going to score them on respiratory symptoms such as runny eyes, increased breathing, coughs, and then maybe check temperatures. And I think I'm going to do some reporting on how many calves actually get sick and which ones get treated and what they get treated with, and if one product is more effective than another. This is a very crowded little calf facility, so we're hoping that we can become more efficient, save some money, and build a nice new calf facility. So they won't be so crowded, won't get so sick. It'll be a lot more fun to raise them. So, but it's fun anyway. Cows are nice, they're cute, and they're funny. They're just happy creatures. So.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about student research at UVM, and I'm visiting with teacher and mentor Dr. Julie Smith of UVM Extension. Well, the research, of course, requires collaborators like the DeGraffs. How did you find people who agreed to participate?
In my experience, it's been really easy to get dairy farmers in Vermont to participate in research projects, whether I know them from other activities or we just call them up on the phone and explain the project and what the expected value of the project is. It's rare that a farmer doesn't want to participate, and we really appreciate their willingness to open their farms to us, to take the time to answer the questions we have and help with the data collection. It's really a great relationship.
Well, let's go back to the DeGraff farm, and this time to hear from the students. Let's take a look.
Care of calves on the farm.
Calves or cows?
Calves.
Calves. It's a bit of a mix.
I'm working on developing a survey on the calf management practices throughout the state, and just kind of getting an idea of what's currently being implemented, and then from there seeing where further educational efforts can be targeted into what areas of calf management by the results that we receive. I sent out a pre-notice letter to basically every farm in Vermont, and then the farms that reply, I will be sending the survey to them, whichever mode that they choose. So to some farms I'll be going there and in person interviewing the farmers themselves. Other ones I'll be doing telephone interviews or email, and also mail-in surveys. I sent out the pre-notice letter to about 1,000 or so farms, and I'm hoping to hear back from a little over 200 of them. So that would be ideal. It's mostly questions just on their calf management practices, so different areas pertaining to calf health. And there are some general farming questions on there too, but it's mostly geared towards the calves themselves. It's been really fun. It's been really interesting. A lot of work, but it's been a good experience so far. And I'm starting to get some good responses, so that's good.
But basically for hip height, I'll do it right in front of the hook bones.
What I'm doing is that we're testing what the ventilation system and how it affects calf group housing. So we'll be taking blood samples and weight tapes and just seeing how the overall progression of the calves go throughout the summer and hopefully throughout years. I was thrown into this full force, and I love every minute of it. I'm a bio major. I've never worked with large animals like this. I work at the aquarium downtown, but that's as close as I've ever gone to a farm.
So you can score them from everything's normal, totally clean nose, to, well.
I'm learning a lot, and I have a new appreciation for cows, that's for sure. I never knew why people like them so much, and now I know why. It's a lot of work. I didn't realize how hard people on farms work, and I knew it was a lot, but it's very difficult. And even seeing Dr. Julie in the pens with the animals, it was really crazy to see how much effort you have to put in every day. As a bio major, I'm not really sure what I want to do with the rest of my life. I wanted to go into something with marine biology, but getting experience in this, I think I might want to expand on that and work as a zoology major or something like that.
Well, joining me now is one of the students we met in the video. I want to welcome Mia Cosentino, a senior at UVM. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
So with your research, can you give us an update? What have you learned? Where are you going with it?
Yeah, so I started developing my survey in the beginning of the summer, and it's moving along. I have been getting good responses back. I've been to a few other farms now. Most of my responses are coming through the mail and through my online survey, but I've also had a couple of telephone interviews too, and it's been really successful so far.
So what did you learn by visiting the farms?
I learned how much really goes into calf management and into raising these calves. I was able to see by going to each different farm all the different methods also that each individual farmer has in order to take care of the calves, and kind of how it differs from each farm to the next.
And so did you learn anything specific about some of the management techniques? What are some of the things that farmers do?
It's been interesting. It's been interesting to see kind of how it varies with each farm. When we were on the DeGraff farm, I actually saw them take care of a calf, and it was interesting to see how quickly they really tried to get that first milk into the calf and how important it was to that individual farmer. So it was interesting. And
what did you enjoy most about the work?
Before I worked on the survey, I really didn't have any experience with cows, or I didn't have that great of a knowledge about them. And I really enjoyed how much I got to learn about it, and just how much I was able to really see, and how much it kind of opened my eyes to this kind of farming and to this specific animal.
Is this something that you expected, Julie, to see these kids experience?
It really is a great opportunity, especially for students who have no farm background, for them to be able to work with me and get out on some farms, see what it's like, see how farmers are caring for the animals. It's a really great opportunity.
Was there something that surprised you, Mia, or that you weren't expecting?
Actually, when we were on that first farm, the DeGraff farm, while we were kind of looking at the other calves and taking measurements on them, we turned back around and we realized that a baby calf was just born in that very second that we were facing the other way. And so when we turned around and we saw the newborn calf in with the mother, it was really surprising. And we quickly just had to assess what was going on and figure out how to take care of that one.
Now, your work is ongoing, and you've been involved in some of the blood samples from calves. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's really been interesting. We are using a refractometer to measure the immunoglobulins in the blood of the calves, and to see kind of how passive transfer of those antibodies and immunoglobulins were passed from the mother to the calf.
I was going to say, you lost me.
Really important for the health of the calf, getting them started.
I was surprised to find out that there are so many things that you have to worry about with a calf. I mean, you think it's born and you feed it and it'll be okay, but that's not the case.
No, and the feed is one part of it, but like Anya DeGraff mentioned, the ventilation and how you keep the calves from getting respiratory disease, especially in a group housed situation like they have, is really critical for the health of the calves.
And so, Mia, what's next?
I am hoping to get some more responses. Some more are still trickling in. And I will be analyzing those responses using a survey system called Qualtrics, and that will kind of help me to see the big picture of the calf management and all the different areas. And then hopefully from there we'll be able to use that information to see what areas of calf management could use some further educational efforts.
And maybe come up with some ideas or better uses for areas and for calves?
Yeah, exactly, and to kind of see what can be improved.
And so what are your career plans? Is this going to sort of dovetail into what you want to do?
Well, since I was little, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, and I used to think that I just wanted to work with small, typical like house animals like dogs and cats, but working with cows and kind of learning about them and seeing how they are, I would really like to continue, hopefully working with larger animals like that.
That's a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Because vet school's what, another 4 years?
4 more years.
That's a huge commitment.
A big commitment.
Yeah. And so early in the program, we talked with Dr. Smith about the collaborative nature of research. What was it like being able to work with Dr. Smith hands-on?
It was great. It was really good. Dr. Smith helped me throughout the whole process, and she was able to kind of, since I didn't know much in the beginning, she was able to kind of fill in the gaps where I wasn't sure about things. But it's also been really great because she's very careful about being a little hands-off, so that it was kind of able to really become my project, and I was able to take the lead on it, but she was always there for support when I needed it.
She's done a great job.
And is that something that obviously is a best-case scenario?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been really fascinating talking about what you do and then also what you're learning to do. It's pretty exciting.
Great to be here.
Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.